Liselott Forsman, Executive Director of International Projects. You have a seat beside Ran at Yle. Of course, a member of our advisory board as well. And we're going to talk about a project you have together, but we're also going to talk about cultural clashes in co-production. So now you have a project which is, it's a Finnish-Spanish project, and it's kind of interesting how it came about. Tell us a little bit.
I think Liselott should tell.
So I think we have like a slideshow thing, right? So you can put that on in the background.
Liselott was there before me when it started.
Okay, but you know all about it, and you will be on the slideshow. So just the very first meeting was Mediapro, the Spanish production company, contacted Yle, so we had a meeting with them. And David, who you already mentioned, pitched an idea. And as the idea was both Finnish and Spanish, we got really excited because this is the age where Yle is going really strongly into international co-productions. Do you want to tell about the concept?
Yeah. So the idea was the idea that David had.
So it's called The Paradise.
It's called The Paradise. It takes place in a Spanish village called Fuengirola, very close to Malaga, which is the biggest. What is the good word to say? I think it's the largest establishment with Finns outside of Finland.
Except Sweden, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Finns. Except Sweden.
Yeah, there's like 1 million people with Finnish blood here.
You are right. So it's the largest place with sun, with Finns.
Very, very well done.
5,000 Finns live there all year long. During the summer, it comes to 15,000. So in a way, it's a small Helsinki, only set in Spain. And the idea was to try and create a Mediterranean noir, to take a story that could have happened in Finland, but to set it inside the community of Finns in Fuengirola and see what happens differently. So I think you can start clicking the thing. So.
Oh, it's me clicking it.
Okay. So in order to create it, what we did is because we only had an idea of something happening in Fuengirola with Finns. This is how it started. So what we said is, let's go there. And
do you want to click it? Maybe you know it better than me.
So we first went to Fuengirola. 2 Finns, Jarmo, the head of drama for
Jarmo Lampela. Are you here, Jarmo?
And Matti Laine, the writer,
over there,
and David, who's Spanish, and me, I'm Israeli, no connection. And we traveled to Fuengirola, and we went to the police station to start studying, are there things happening? And we found out that many things are happening. There are many things happening with Finns in Fuengirola who are completely their own. Different set of crimes, they're involved in different things. The police handles them differently. And we walked around the street, and it's amazing because when you look at it, this is a sign in a toilet in a restaurant in Fuengirola, and it's in Spanish, Finnish, and English, of course. And Fuengirola is completely Finnish. There's a school, there's a supermarket. You can get your incredible soap, and there's a local newspaper there, and this woman actually was the beginning of our story, because when we went to the police station and the police officer said, yes, there are many things happening with the Finns. We have alcohol problem, we have some violent problem, we have some drug problems with drugs coming from Finland to here. And when we went to this lady from the newspaper, she said, everything is perfect, it's paradise here. And then we noticed that there might be a story between the paradise she's talking about and what the police officer is talking about. And we started writing and talking.
There's David and Jarmo.
Yeah. Actually, this is the important session we had. What we tried to do is we split. We were together for 3 days, and then we split for half a day. And each of us wrote a storyline, completely different. And then we met together and we started telling the storyline. And actually the storyline we have right now is built from completely 4 different stories all mixed together. At the end of the day, The Paradise is a story about memory. about the difference between people who want to forget the past and move on to the future, which is the beginning of our conversation here, and the people who cannot forget the past because something horrible happened in their past and they will try to be forgotten, but they will not let go. And this is actually what this story is about. So it takes place in Fuengirola and in Finland. Most of, I think 80% of it takes place in Spain and 20% in Finland. It speaks 3 languages, Finnish, Spanish, and English, completely natural, according to the people who speak. And so to continue the process after we've done all this, we set a meeting in Helsinki in November.
I love that sign from the airport. I really love it.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of hope when you land there. And this is when we landed in Helsinki, and it was -18, flights canceling. This is my landing. You know that probably for you it's life. And morning news, and we did the second part of the writing in Helsinki to absorb the other parts of what it feels like. Why are people coming to Fuengirola? What are they trying to forget?
It's not a big mystery to any of us, no. But I wanted to ask about the audience, because now it's a Finnish broadcaster, of course. So the show is for the Finnish audience.
Well, this is the discussion.
Yeah.
You know, because of course, from Finnish point of view, it happens in a Finnish community, but in Spain, so it should interest Spanish audiences too, of course.
I don't think this is for me a basic rule in television. The fact that the show is written by a Finnish writer and is designated for a Finnish broadcaster, for me, it means that it will be interesting for everybody. I don't think in order to create a show that is interesting for more people, it needs to be a Spanish show. Not at all. I think it's something we insisted. This is a Finnish show. I think this is why it will travel beautifully around the world, because it's telling an authentic story, very powerful, and it's not trying to be international. I think if we try to make it international, we would make a mistake.
So it's not Eurosoap anyway.
No, not at all.
But these Finns living in the community in a Spanish area, so it's like get a deeper insight to those Finns living on our area. But you also asked if this could be Swedish, a Swedish community.
Yeah, we were talking before, like, is it random? Could it have been any other group that is living in
And I think after you have developed it, because you talk about the core story and about memory, and Oulu, a Finnish city, becomes quite important, and Nokia in its grand days,
yes,
back in the good old days for Nokia, that makes it even more Finnish.
Completely.
Because it goes to Finnish history, it goes deep into the collective Finnish society, and how important Nokia was for us all and for the society, almost ruling politics at one time. And this means now it's not anymore just another, you know, like it could be any nation. Now it is really a story that is meaningful, really meaningful to Finnish, but also on a universal level, because you found the deep core story. So if you hadn't met Yle, if Mediapro, before you came in, hadn't met Yle that day, but had met somebody from SVT, for example, I'm sure there could have been just as good a story about the Swedish holiday island, but then the core would have been different. So I think this is interesting, the way you go deeper and deeper and find the authenticity for this story.
I completely agree. I think this is the way you create a story. We knew what we wanted, and then we started looking like the dentist. We started digging deep to find that what is the right story in the Finnish history that we want to touch. And once we found it, it clicked. It felt like the right story. And I think if this show gets an adaptation and finds a Swedish broadcaster, then we need to do that digging again to understand, are the reasons for Swedes leaving to Spain the same as the Finns? What is the core of the people leaving? Are there classes there? Because this is also about classes, about Nokia executives and Nokia low workers, and what can happen, not just to them, but to their children, what kind of effect it has. And I think for me, it's always this: when somebody brings a genuine story. This drama has an amazing, very different lead character. She's a 60-plus policewoman, and her husband is suffering from Alzheimer. And it's, you know, usually in a police show, the storyline of the life of the policeman is get on with it. Yeah, he's drunk, he has alcohol problems, okay. In this show, the storyline of her life is so powerful that sometimes you want to say, stop the crime investigation, I want to know more about this. And it's not by accident that her husband has Alzheimer, that the issue is also memory. It's the same idea. And it's amazing, in this writing session, somebody told a story which is now the most powerful scene I think in the Paradise, of a father who had Alzheimer. And the thing with Alzheimer is it's such a horrible disease that you have some moments you're okay, and then you have some moments you're completely out. And they told us a story about somebody filming the family while he was doing something and then screening that scene to him, and how seeing yourself in a horrible situation really shook him apart. And it became a scene in the show. I think it's the most powerful scene we have right now. So again, speaking about, I'm trying not to repeat myself so much, but every character on the Paradise will have an issue with memory, a different issue, a different point of view, a different way to look at it. But you will see this memory coming back and forth to all the main characters. They're all around it.
So I was wondering, the main character is a woman in her 60s, and that's not a very common main character, especially in a police show. And I think I'm generalizing, but I guess the view on women in Spain and in Finland is quite different. Were there any clashes around this kind of gender role issues?
We had a session with Liselott and Suvi from Ule in Helsinki about the show. And it was super interesting to have a different point of view.
This is when the ladies entered.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was for me one of the most powerful learning experiences I had about writing, about how a point of view is so important, because the lead role is a woman. And many times when we wrote the first draft, we wrote her not from a female point of view. And suddenly when we sat around the table from two Finnish ladies, the notes they gave were super powerful. And it made us rethink, rethought, and reshape the way we are doing the characters and the character description. Sometimes in very, very small details of how she enters the gym.
What were some of the notes, Liselott? We want to know.
Go ahead.
Because this is really interesting. We were supposed to talk about cultural clashes between, for example, two countries co-producing. But
this is exactly
another, yeah. But here you have a Finnish guy writing.
Yeah.
I mean,
so then we can also talk about culture clashes
so
between
in a way, it's a
males and females.
It's a gender clash, and it is also a clash of age, because he's a young man and she's an older woman.
Yeah.
And of course, I can see that she's closer to my age than to his age. So some of the scenes were also like, would a woman in this age really act like this and do that? And I think it is interesting that you have, if you had a Spanish writer, I don't know if it would have been, you know, what do you think? Would it have been a different gender storytelling? Because
completely. Completely. And because we have Spanish women roles on the show, and they're also different. And sometimes she doesn't understand the Finnish woman. Why is she acting like that? Why is she doing that?
Yeah.
And there are scenes when they're explaining to each other the different mentalities they have. I think when we say culture clash, we are looking from a bird's eye view. But if we make a show, we need to go deep down, and then there are differences between ages, between genders, between professions. Clashes are what drama is all about. You know, this is why we write.
And the clashes can be really good. I'm working now with a British writer, and we had a horrible clash for me, or I could see that our society is not like that. You know, first you have the exotism, which is really easy if you have a writer from abroad that they see Finland as this fairy tale country. But that's easy. That's just like easy to unwrite. But then when you go on a deeper level and you start dealing with society, the society in UK and Finland is really different. And when you first see it as a problem, and then you start discussing it, then you go really deep.
Exactly.
Because
so you can kind of use that as an engine to make the story better.
And suddenly we see what's universal. We see what is happening all around Europe in the welfare society. What does it mean in UK? What does it mean in Finland? You know, and how does a British person experience coming from one certain type of Western society, another society? So clashes are good. We've been talking on beforehand of all sorts of clashes. Also, when you put actors from different countries in the same show.
Just tell the short anecdote you had about the actor.
Well, it was many years ago. We were co-producing a series with 6 countries, and it was in the end broadcasted in 10. But we had 6 like main characters from 6 countries, and then I casted Finnish, or helped casting the Finnish actors to the Belgium director, and he casted 1 Swedish-speaking Finn and 1 Finn, and both great actors. But then he said, I have a problem, because you Swedish-speaking Finns, you speak fast like the rest of Europe, but Finnish people speak slower. And I know this because very often in Finland I feel, Andrea is also a Swedish-speaking Finn, and like Johanna yesterday, we speak very fast. So I think I must speak slower, because in this country we don't speak fast. And here in Sweden I finally can speak fast.
Yeah. So I guess Walter is not Finnish.
No, and that was so nice when Johanna told Walter, slow down. Wow.
Of all people telling him,
Yeah, but anyway, the story was that then the director said that now when they are rehearsing dialogue, he says, what is the rhythm between 2 actors from 2 different countries? Because he was playing against actors from, I think, Belgium at that time. And he noticed that this is first a problem, but then when he starts changing the dialogue, because a Finnish have shorter sentences.
So he had to make the dialogue.
He rewrote
less dialogue.
And in the end it worked perfectly. And that was once again a clash that turned into a strength.
It's a beautiful example.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we have to put you in the car, otherwise you're gonna miss
the plane.
Miss your flight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, Ran.
Thank you. Bye bye.